For this episode of Better Without, we're going to take a little bit of a different turn. Instead of focusing on the gluten-free diet and lifestyle, we're actually going to look at the diagnostic process of celiac disease. I think it's really important for people to know the proper steps to being diagnosed.
Absolutely. You know, for me, like a lot of viewers out there, I had a long journey, 5 years of all kinds of whacked out symptoms, you know, of like losing feeling in my legs and difficulty breathing, and I started breaking bones just by walking, and migraines, and the list goes on, as it does for many of you. So finally I found a physician who felt confident that I had celiac disease and told me to go gluten-free, you know, ASAP, and that it was really important that I dive right in, so I did. But then at the same time I started to realize, as I was being educated more about celiac disease and going gluten-free, that my physician didn't know how to go about it the correct way. So, which is why this is important, so that those who are watching this can educate their physicians on how they can get properly diagnosed. You know, taking grab of hold of your own health.
Here we are today at the Columbia Celiac Disease Center. We're very fortunate to actually have time with Dr. Peter Green, one of the leading experts in celiac disease. One of the very important things about having the center is that the patient or the consumer really goes through the proper diagnostic process. Can you tell us what that process is?
So the first step is doing a blood test to see if they're positive, and then if they're positive, or if there's a high suspicion, even if the tests are negative, we'd suggest an endoscopy. The next stage is seeing the dietitian, assessing whether there's any nutritional deficits. We think that management by an expert nutritionist is very important, because after one gets a diagnosis of celiac disease, gluten-free diet involves two things. One, knowing what to avoid, and that's pretty easy because one can look at lists on the internet, etc. But the other most important factor is knowing what to eat.
What are some of the other procedures or other things that you're looking for in this population?
Bone density test. We'll check different vitamin levels, especially vitamin D. We'd also check their iron level, their ferritin level, calcium, parathyroid, hormone level. While we've got a certain checklist for everyone, it certainly has to be tailored for what patient's symptoms are. There's increasing interest in these gluten-related disorders, and for that umbrella term we'd include celiac disease, non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and wheat allergy. It's just not something that can be you know, passed off as another food fad or a non-significant condition.
It's not the latest diet fad, yeah. Right. Well, we thank you very much for all your time and your expertise and everything you do for the celiac community.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you. So that was great information. We really have to thank Dr. Peter Green and the Celiac Disease Center for just laying out that step-by-step procedure of the proper way to get diagnosed with celiac disease. That's good information. We can empower our viewers to really know how to talk to their doctor, but it gets better. Our next episode is all on eating healthy gluten-free too. So with all this information, Better Without just keeps getting better and better.
Join us next time.
So while I left Australia many years ago, I still got a little bit of Australia in my office. Here we have two boomerangs. Here we have the traditional boomerang, but that thing up there is also a boomerang. This one you throw, and this one you hold in your hand and you can whack people on the head with.